Hello, everyone. John Doyle from OptixEQ, and you can see I'm looking at the new website here. Just a quick couple of things, and I'm going to get into a couple of ways to simply use some new features, and then we could get into some more detailed ones in later videos. But by the way, it's Monday. Happy President's Day. Select race. That's how you get in to access the selector with the track and the grid and all the rest, just so you know. Race of the day is going to be here. Account and downloads is going to be something for future when we send maybe a PDF or something. You can get it that way, but right now it doesn't have much use for you, but it will be in the future. Okay, so select race, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit select race, and then what it's going to bring up the old selector with the track. You select the track, you select the date, the little spin wheel here. And what I'm going to do today, though, I'm going to show you some new features in both scan and not a new feature, but I'll show you something in ROD too. But scan, we got some new filters. So what is scan? Scan goes and looks at all the plots, right, that are out there for the day and helps you filter and maybe look for some specific parameters that you're looking for in the plot. So I'm going to go to scan and show you a new thing. So we got 3 buttons up here, okay? And what they are they pick out particular types of plots for that day. So a best plot fit, what that is we've talked about this before, fits that aren't red, essentially, that's what it is. But also they line up in terms of standard surfaces distance alike, and there's not a lot of horses that can't be plotted. So that's kind of a best fit plot. Plots you kind of just want to look at and feel like they're a little bit more reliable, more predictive. The slow and fast-paced scenario ones are new. This is particular pattern when we see a certain kind of parameters with a high contention, high speed rating, horses bunched up. That's a fast-paced scenario, and the slow-paced scenario is when kind of the quadrant 1 horses have it to themselves. And like I said, these particular patterns don't happen a lot. You know, maybe 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and even when they do, when you do see them in here, you want to kind of dig in on them because they may not all look the same. So I'm going to look at the fast-paced scenarios because we do have one particular one at Aqueduct today. It's even though it's a short field, I tend to like with the fast-paced scenarios bigger fields, so they kind of, you know, have a better chance of collapsing. But I'm going to pull up this race. It's race 2 at Aqueduct. You see, it's got high contention. It's a green plot fit, a very high speed rating at 67. You see how the N and OK for the diamond? That means the standard surface and distance plot, the Q change means there's no difference in the quadrant changes. And then diamond is 0, means no horses can't be plotted in the race. So a good candidate to look at. So I double click it and there we go. So what do we have? Well, you can see by the run styles, we have 3 horses that want the lead. That ain't going to work out too well, right? So something's got to give. And even though the 1, you say, wow, look at that plot square. Well, not too good if he's a need the lead horse, right? Because the 3 and the 6 and 2 look like they're better early than the 1. So the 1 is in trouble. So the 1, 3, and 6, you know, essentially really kind of damages their chances. I'd be looking at the 4 and the 5 from off the pace in this race. The 4 is a bigger square. He's a bigger price than the 5. But essentially, you know, I would just dig into their form a little bit. Both are dropping, so they're good candidates. You can see that in the class competition if you look at that. Well, yeah, I mean, relatively, but they are dropping in this race, but the relative class is okay. Obviously, the 4 is a bigger square, maybe a better finisher, but really, I'd be looking for price in this standpoint, you know, other than doing some of my handicapping. And I'm not going to dig into the 4 and 5, but I would be looking at the 4 and 5 in this race as, and even possibly a 4 5 exact, they're both coming off the pace, because this looks like it sets up off the pace. Okay, so that's how I use scan to get to a race that you may not, you know, spend a lot of time trying to find. Okay, and you found it pretty quickly. The other one I want to show you is the ROD. And now I'm not going to get into all the new filters, but there's tons of them. You can go to town on this. And remember, you need notes to have this product. So it comes with notes. It's a kind of a utility to sort and filter on things. And you see all these buttons here, right? All new. And you can kind of click on any one of these things and you see a drop down. So what you're essentially doing is filling out this top bar where you used to have to put in formulas yourself, which you still can. You still can customize your search and filter. But here now you can do it more easily. So for instance, one of the ones we always talk about, I'm going to look at Optix notes and I want green keyword in last race. Okay, that's a very popular one. So there's a horse that had some kind of issue in his last race and we're projecting the horse to improve. Now, the horse has to be in the right spot and all the rest, but it's a great tool. And I'm going to show you what, I'm going to explain why it's a great tool. I'm going to point out this horse in race 5 at Parks, Clout Chaser. This horse was wide against the bias at Aqueduct. Now, I play Aqueduct. I do the notes for Aqueduct. I don't play Parks much, but you know, I don't want to miss opportunities where horses ship to another track. And I just think that this horse has a chance in this race. And you can look at 8-1 as the morning line. Oh, by the way, too, you get one of the other features of this. You can set the odds you want to look at. So if you want to look at medium price horses, and then you can see that so it's 5-1 to 10-1. You can see this horse pops up to the top. So let's I'm going to go into when you just click that OP, it brings up the Optix plot for that race at Parks. So we're going to look at the number 2 Clout Runner, or Clout Chaser, I'm sorry. So Clout Chaser plots looks like just off the pace, looks like it's a low speed rating, a little average contention. On standard, it looks like he can kind of sit. It's a little bit further in quadrant 2 on surface and distance. So, you know, that's something to look at. But let's I'm just going to bring up the grid on this horse. So again, this race looks like, you know, just initially it leans more to early pace anyway. Now the 2 is a horse that needs to kind of lead, and it doesn't look good here. But let's look at his form a little bit more closely. He ran a 73, and look, this is great. What we did was we put these purse prices in here of the races. It's a $55,000 race. The Optix figure range was 80 to 88. Okay, this horse is dropping significantly. This is a $25,000 race. It's a claiming optional claimer 16 at Parks. This horse has races in the back. They run as high as 80. That puts him in contention here. Let me just go and look at, and again, these are new filters too. So I want to look at the last 45 days and just see how his speed figures compare, right? So he's one of the top figures almost. Second, tied for second with a race that was against the bias at Aqueduct versus much better. So I think this is a horse that potentially, you know, especially if he's anywhere 8-1, like people at Parks may not know that this horse, Aqueduct race, even though it doesn't look as great, was against the bias too. So this is a horse that I came to just kind of going through the rod and trying to pick green keywords and try to get to it quickly. You know, you can dig a little bit more in this race, but it was more in showing you how to identify opportunities quickly that you might not otherwise, trudging through and trying to go through a whole set of cards and not miss shippers when you're following a particular type of track. So that's it. I'll be having more of these websites, you know, just again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps us out. And then also check us out at OptixEQ.com. And thanks for listening, everyone.